A then 22-year-old Michael Brown was a Liverpool doorman and bouncer who, along with his pal Gary Hampton, helped man the doors in some of Liverpool's most bustling nightclubs and pubs. Despite Michael Brown being fully employed, Michael was a known criminal. He was also permanently angry and a bona fide narcissist. He had this immovable chip on his shoulder, and his life would change forever. On the 23rd of March 2001, Michael had loaded up his Volkswagen Golf with Gary and another accomplice, and the men then drove round searching for anyone that could be deemed a rival or a gangster or a criminal. They were looking for a scrap, or even to case someone. Michael had then found a 21-year-old Colin McGinty, Whelan and Terry Randal walking along March Lane in Bootle. Because the friends were walking home in a group after drinking at Sulivans bar, Michael mistook the men as a gang. Michael pulled the Golf over, and he and Gary and a third accomplice went into super savage mode, K mode. They then exited the car and confronted the men. Armed with blades, they chased Colin, Terry and Alan. Now each of the three men then ran away in all different directions. While Terry and Alan managed to get away, Colin was caught as he attempted to climb over a wall on Anvil Street. Colin was outnumbered. Now he was not pulled back down from the wall, but Michael and Gary and a third man had used two blades between them, blading Michael 11 times in the back, twice in the chest and then once in the armpit. Colin had been found by his friends who had circled back to the scene of the crime, but sadly Colin was slumped against the wall, red leaking. Emergency services were called and then Colin was rushed to hospital where he underwent emergency surgery. Sadly, he was pronounced dead a short time later. Now the M was vicious, inhumane and displayed all the signs of a gang execution. Michael was ultimately found guilty of the M, and he was told that he would be jailed for life at Liverpool Crown Court, and he was also told that he would serve a minimum term of 18 years. Michael Brown ultimately spent 16 years in jail, where he forged connections with other criminals. By some miracle, Michael Brown had been released from jail in 2017. Now, with a new lease of life, Michael Brown was keen to get away from the stigma and the label of being a K of an innocent man that followed him, so Michael changed his name to Michael Hoy. Now once his freedom was reinstated, Michael took measures to present himself as a crime boss. He did not want to go legit. Firstly, the Liverpool madman and narcissist teamed up with 25-year-old Patrick Murray, who was said to have connections to kilos of Class A like White and H on standby. When the men first started supplying Class A on a wholesale scale to other criminals, the men believed that they were untouchable for three main reasons. Number one, EncroChat was considered safe and it was used as a platform by other criminals and colleagues. Number two, the men had access to a wide plethora of GUNs and Class A, which was a moneymaker. And lastly, Michael Hoy, who was also known as Michael Brown, was a known K. He would K again if presented with a problem. Now, police says that the two men had used handles on the encrypted platform between March 2020 and June 2020. Using the device, the two dealers were involved in a dealing of multiple kilos of White and H in South Liverpool, like areas like Knowsley and St Helens. In order to distance themselves from the crimes, Patrick Murray, who's from Gloucester Road in Hoyton, employed 51-year-old Philip Moran as a drug courier. This was his own uncle. However, unbeknownst to the drug gang, police had already begun to investigate the men. So, when police investigated the two crime bosses, police found that Patrick was using the handle Weird GUN on EncroChat, and he had forwarded messages and images of a cache of GUNs, including pump action, revolver, Uzi, Glocks and others. The images were sent to other criminals who were attached to big-time crimes in Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, Newcastle and Glasgow. These were known Ks and dealers and crime bosses, who were OCGs. Images were also sent to Michael Hoy and Philip Moran. The men had also captured moments of themselves selling £40,000 worth of Class A white. Now Michael Brown was attributed to the handle Timely Better, and Philip had the handle Kept Hawk. Now Philip, under direction of both Michael and Patrick, had a conversation log which was recorded, and it discussed the importation of 50 pistols from Holland, which would then be distributed across Liverpool. Police then set up covert surveillance and put plainclothes officers on both Michael Hoy and Patrick Murray. In January and February of 2021, Merseyside police witnessed Patrick and other criminals exchanging money, and then on the 9th of February 2021, Michael Hoy was captured taking a drug courier, Keith Cooper, to the Hoyton John estate in order to complete a drug transaction. Michael had passed Keith Cooper at least 1 kg of high purity Class A. Now police allowed Keith to get into his car and drive a short distance from the John estate and along the M57 on the Bootle exit before his car was brought to a stop by police. Keith was taken out of his car by force, handcuffed and then placed inside the police car while his car was searched. Ultimately, police found the white. Police then gathered the conversation logs for the conversation between Michael Hoy and Philip Moran, where the two men conversed over the sale of items for a third-party customer. Michael told Philip to start gathering prices for ammo and GUNs. In part, the criminal operation was actually dismantled by police, in part due to Patrick Murray messaging Michael Hoy's handle Timely Better. Instead of Patrick addressing Michael as his handle name, Patrick would sometimes refer to his friend as Mike. Michael did not correct Patrick, and to even make matters worse, when another criminal using EncroChat messaged Michael and asked him what his name was, Michael Brown replied by writing back, "I'm Mike Brown." Sometimes Michael Brown, aka Michael Hoy, would also be referred to by other criminals by the name of Life, an homage to his previous life sentence. In regards to Kept Hawk, Patrick Murray referenced his home address, his personal Mercedes, and also referenced the fact that he was working for his nephew, Philip Moran. In exchange, Patrick told another criminal that he went wherever he was told. When Michael Hoy was arrested, he answered no comment to all questions. When Philip Moran was arrested, he gave police a prepared statement explaining, "I would like to say that I am not associated with any handle on EncroChat." When Michael Hoy was found guilty of 7 charges that include conspiracy to have GUNs and ammo, conspiracy to supply Class A and Class B, Michael Hoy shrugged and looked back at his colleagues Philip Moran and Patrick Murray, and Michael Hoy was jailed for 20 years. Patrick Murray pled guilty to conspiracy to supply Class A, conspiracy to possess items such as GUNs. Now he was told that he would have to serve 16 years in jail. When Philip Moran was found guilty after a trial of conspiracy to possess GUNs and ammo and to supply Class A, he was jailed for 12 years. Now does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe.